Hey, how you doing? It's Mr. Bill here. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of my dates in case you wanted to come and see me at a show or a workshop or something like that. So here's pretty much the dates for the rest of the year. November 3rd, I have a workshop in Taipei, Taiwan. November 8th and 9th, I'm in India, in Bangalore and Delhi respectively. November 15th, I'm in Brunswick, Victoria at Rubik's Warehouse. November 23rd, I'm in Brisbane in Australia at Bohemian Beat Freaks. I think it's Land Cruiser National Park actually. November 30th, I'm in Sydney at the Lair, which is the side room to the Metro. December, I have San Francisco on the 12th, Nevada City on the 13th, Los Angeles on the 14th, Denver on the 18th, Santa Fe on the 19th at Meow Wolf, and then the 21st in Columbus, Ohio. And then in January, I am playing in Philadelphia on the 11th. So if you wanted to come and see me basically for the rest of the year, and then I suppose that one date in January, and I'm coming to an area near you, go to mrbillstunes.com/tour, and you should be able to find all the ticket links and dates and whatnot there.
Cheers. Enjoy the podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you are listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're 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 listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast. Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
All right, welcome to episode number 8 of the Mr. Bill Podcast. Today I'm talking with Alden Groves.
It's me.
We were just so actually when people have like listened to this podcast now, when they're listening to it like on Stitcher or whatever they listen to it on, actually Apple Podcasts is where we're getting the most listens.
I listen on Stitcher.
Yeah, me too. But anyway, after people listen, they're gonna like have just heard the Mr. Bill podcast intro.
Yeah.
So I can tell you how it was made, and then that would make sense like format wise, because they will like hear it and then hear the explanation.
That's great.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Fuck yeah. There's so
All right,
much
so-
beauty in the world. Hey, Mr. Bill.
Yeah.
How did you make the intro? The intro where it says, "Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast."
I'm glad you asked.
That's crazy.
So actually, I went on Google Translate and I wrote, "Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast," and then I like clicked each different like speech thing and recorded them all out into Ableton and then just layered them a bunch.
Just soundflowered it in or something.
I used my Yamaha AG03, which has like a loopback function.
Okay, tight.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then I just like put some pads under it and stuff like that. And
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good. It's an interesting intro. I feel like so many podcasts have just like whack intros. Like what's it? Like the Tim Ferriss one has just like the most like fuck off bad like 2003 electro house track at the beginning.
yeah, or the Joe Rogan one has like this weird like rock song or something like that.
Yeah, I just feel like you should like I like yours because it's not dated sounding, you know what I mean? Like I feel like a song is just liable to just become so dated, like, and both of those are just so, I don't know.
Well, they're also like not music producers. I think like, you know, partially is that your phone?
I don't think so. I think that was you blooping, dude.
Fuck, hold on.
No justice in the world.
Yeah, it was me blooping, my bad. Yeah, so I guess if they were music producers though, like they'd probably have a non-dated sounding intro. But then again, they probably both make so much fucking money.
Yeah, I expect they just don't give a shit ultimately.
Yeah, I don't really think it's like hurting.
And I expect other people probably don't give a shit either.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like if they had a better intro, do you think the Joe Rogan podcast would be more popular?
No, it's like I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like I drive to and from Denver to work for the Slam Academy thing. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's from Longmont. It's like an hour and change each way. And so I am just always looking for podcasts. And I would say most podcasts, I have to skip the music in the intro just because it's either too long or just bad or just aggressive in some way. Right.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'm glad that you can listen to my 30-second intro, Alden.
This is the only reason I'm here. Now that we've discussed the intro, I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Well, let's talk about your career and how we met.
Oh yeah, true. Hey.
So, well, there's probably a lot of people who don't know who you are. So,
I don't know about that. Pretty sure everybody knows who I am.
Okay. Well, let's just skip that part. All right. So you used to write. The way I first found out about you was when you were writing music as Evoke.
Yes.
And your handle was Evoke Hop.
Yes, I assume that's people that have heard of me. They've probably heard of me as Evoke.
Right, which is now not a thing anymore.
It's kind of it's not a thing right now in that I don't have any releases scheduled for it. I still use it like basically the way I think about it right now is that Evoke is kind of the name that I use for anything that I would classify as, in quotation marks, electronic music. Stuff that's like either has like an EDM format or just that kind of structure. So like if I'm featuring on another person's song and it's like an EDM song, I'll use the Evoke handle. But for all the stuff that I'm trying to do right now, where it's more focused on like rap or songwriting or whatever the hell it is I'm doing now, I just use my name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. What is it you think that made you kind of step more away from the Evoke stuff and more towards the rapping stuff? 'Cause the Evoke stuff was kind of like neuro, like I don't know how it was basically neuro halftime stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, initially. So like I initially really got into the neuro halftime thing in like 2012-ish. Before it was like, I think Cursa had posted the Let's Call It Neuro Hop mix on SoundCloud, which is not up there anymore. Now there's just the album that Caliber did. But before any of that, there was that mix, and I got really into that whole sound. And then ultimately, just what it came to for me is that I wanted to be able to express myself lyrically too. And so there was like it really was not a sudden shift. It was like even my first release ever as Evoke that was like through a label was called Neuropop. Mm-hmm. And so it was definitely more on the neuro end, but I've always wanted to incorporate lyrics and songwriting and all that kind of stuff and singing, even though I wasn't very good at it at first. And so I was just like trying to figure out a way to incorporate it. And then it eventually just became, that was the thing I cared more about.
The singing?
And that it just was like, I just wasn't inspired. Like that's ultimately for me what it's about. Hi, YouTube.
YouTube is getting right up in your grill.
No kidding. Hey, I just,
for those listening, I have a cat named YouTube. And the reason I named her that is so I could come into my house every day and be like, "What's up, YouTube?" Like one of those insane like YouTuber guys or girls. And I did it like once or twice, and the joke kind of got old. And
I still think it's a wonderful joke. I think it's funny every time.
It's still pretty funny. And like I don't know, now she just lives with that name, I suppose.
She getting fierce. But what I was just gonna say is that it ultimately became that I wasn't inspired to make drops anymore. Like that was really the core of it, is that I just didn't really want to make drops anymore. And so that being the case, it was like it felt a little disingenuous to like keep calling it the same thing, and B, it was like my Spotify and like other, any other network where it mattered. It was like if you looked up Evoke, you would get all this stuff that was no longer representative of anything that I wanted to do. And so I basically just wanted to do kind of a hard reset and get to this point where it was like, okay, I want, when people go to any, whether it's SoundCloud or Spotify or whatever, that my most popular song is going to be in some way representative of what they would expect to hear from me if they were to listen to something recent.
Right. And so rather than pull all the Evoke stuff down and replace it with stuff that you thought was more representative of your sound, now you just started a new project.
Yeah, basically. And it's like, it just wouldn't be practical. And it's sort of like one of those things where you can't, once it's on the internet, especially if people like it, and I wouldn't want to take that away from people either. Like I at one point took all my stuff down from SoundCloud, and I'm starting to repost it back up now because I've had people reach out to me and be like, "Oh, hey, what happened to that remix? I've been meaning, I wanted to listen to it again and it's gone." And I feel weird about that. I feel like once you release music, it doesn't really just belong to you anymore. So I kind of wanted to just like,
I think sort of. You definitely can control your brand though, and how, that stuff is seen. And a lot of people rebrand and resound their stuff over their career. Like I, for instance, have sort of done that a couple of times. Like all my early albums, you can't get anymore. Like Celebrations, Barcodes, and the Ulterior Vag Spiel Rehearsal. You can't get any of those online really anymore, unless you probably dig like really deep into torrent sites and shit like that.
Right.
And that was like from 2008 and 2009. So it's like 10 years ago. It's definitely not like at the level of stuff that I'm producing now.
Right.
And I don't really see any value to anybody having it.
Well, it's different too, because like a lot of the stuff that I had that I didn't feel like was representative of my sound has like 500,000 plays and like several million plays on YouTube. So it's like invariably going to be the first thing that comes up. That's what I mean by you can't like when it comes to stuff like that, you literally can't erase it because it's like it's gotten so much already. You know, it's like I think that I couldn't just like delete that from the internet.
Yeah.
Not that I would really even want to either, because like people connect with those releases too. So I thought it just made more sense to just like, you know, use my name, both because I feel like that more emphasizes what I'm trying to emphasize as far as like what it's about, which is like a lot of the songs right now are more about kind of like what I'm about personally, whether it's my mental health or my history with addiction or just thoughts I have. It's just like, it feels more like direct.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Let's talk about that. You have a history with addiction, and actually, I think it was the very first time I ever hung out with you. I was at your house, and I did. I don't know exactly how much, but quite a lot of Vyvanse, which for people who are listening is basically meth.
Yep.
And I took a shitload of it, and I think wrote music for maybe 2 days straight.
We just hold you up in the basement with my shitty KRK rockets, and
I wrote music for
just went ham. That was when we made Same.
Yep, that is when we made.
We started Same at that point, and then everything good basically happened later.
Yeah, so for anyone listening, Same, which is a collab between me and Alden on my album Settling for Mediocrity, was the product of me, and I don't know if you took any, but I think I did. It was just me on a shitload of Vyvanse in your basement on Ableton.
Too true.
Actually, I went through a little period there for a bit where like I had another friend who got me a bunch of Adderall, and I wrote like Chlorine on one.
Oh yeah, I dig that tune.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Schnapple Schlap, I think, is the other one. I wrote that also on Adderall. So there's like 3 tunes on that album.
The Methy Jams.
They're so insanely detailed. They're just like the product of like
not
so
a coincidence.
Much, yeah.
That's kind of a funny.
And that's actually for the record though, so people don't think I'm a full-blown fucking speedhead. That's I think the only 3 times I've actually done Adderall or Vyvanse. Yeah.
I enabled you for 33.3 repeating % of your meth usage.
Yep. Maybe. Well, no, I've actually done meth too.
Oh, okay.
I just mean medical meth.
Okay. So legal-ish meth.
Just legal meth, yeah.
Yeah, so that was like, you were playing a show in Denver? I'm trying to remember. My memory's bad just categorically.
So what happened was, at the time I was in America, I was supposed to go to Canada and do some dates, but there was like some issues with a visa or something. I don't exactly really know what.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that too.
Pretty much the issue was like if I left the country and then there would be a chance I wouldn't be able to get back in or something.
That rings true.
There was like something going on. I can't exactly remember the details, but there was some reason I couldn't leave the country. So I had to cancel all of my Canadian dates, and then I pretty much had to just like hang around in America for whatever reason it was.
Right.
And then so I just holed up in Colorado for like a month.
Yeah, and I remember you crashed on my couch for some portion of that.
Yeah, totally. And then a year later, I moved here, and you helped me move all of my shit.
Yeah, I've helped you move a number of times.
Yeah, you certainly.
But I think the main one
you actually helped me move into this house too.
Yeah, I remember when you first moved here, we like went to IKEA and like went to the grocery store, and then when you went to get a car. I was like your little taxi man for a little bit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Hey, no worries. It was fun.
Definitely like helped me get all my shit together when I first moved here.
I mean, moving sucks, and I can only imagine moving literally to the other side of the world.
Yeah, didn't you move here from like Arizona or something like that?
Me? Oh no, I'm Coloradoan. I at one point almost moved to Arizona, but that didn't work out for a number of reasons. And was probably a bad idea in the first place. The idea was that I was going to go to Arizona and do some community college stuff there because my family's out there, and then go to LA and try to work the LA music scene. But for a lot of complicated factors, mostly financial ones, it was just like not feasible ultimately.
Yeah, doing the LA grind is tough. I see a lot of people out. I mean, here's my thing with LA. I don't think you should go out there to try and get work. I think you should go there if you're already successful, it seems like.
Yeah, and especially because it's so expensive. Like, that's the thing, is that I think that for me, it's becoming more and more obvious that having money as a resource to put towards music is in and of itself something like really valuable.
It's
like,
huge. Yeah. I mean, like, if it's the difference between you being completely broke and having to work 40 hours a week just to live in LA versus you being not completely broke and not having to even really have a job and live in Colorado and just make tunes here, it's way more worth it to buy your time here.
Well, and also just like the like ambient stress that just comes from not having money. Like I, for years, up until literally about this last year, was always like my account was hovering around zero. I would have overdraft fees just about every month. My credit card debt was climbing. Like I was like stressed about money for years and years and years. Like pretty much since I had to handle my own money, I was stressed about it. And I didn't necessarily realize how much of a toll that was like that was taking on me until I have money now.
Right.
And it's suddenly I can actually end up working more on stuff that's not music and still bring more energy to the studio because I'm not losing sleep or just stressing sort of ambiently about money.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I remember that too when I was younger and like never would have money and I would always just be sort of like worried about food and shit like that. And yeah, it's not
I remember going to Safeway and just literally all I could buy was a jar of peanut butter, 2 bushels of bananas, and a loaf of bread. And I would just eat peanut butter and banana sandwiches like for a week.
That's actually like not that bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's like, as far as cheap food goes, it's not the worst.
Yeah, I mean, you get your potassium from the bananas, you get your carbs from the bread, and you get your protein from the peanut butter.
If any of y'all out there are just trying to live on the cheap, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, or like ramen, right?
Yeah, but ramen is garbage.
True, yeah, compared to fucking banana peanut butter sandwiches.
Yeah, and the cost I feel like is comparable.
Yeah, depending on I wonder like how many sandwiches would you be able to make for like however much money?
That's a good question. I think I did the math at one point, but it has not been relevant to my life for a long time.
Well, it's relevant now. Relevant to this conversation.
We need to do the banana math.
Yeah, let's say like how many slices are in a loaf of bread? Like 30?
That seems high.
Really? Seems kind of normal.
Okay, let's say 30 slices of bread and a loaf of bread. But to me, that still does seem high.
Okay, let's say you get 10 to 15 sandwiches. So like how much does it cost for a loaf of bread? Like $2?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
And then bananas like 3?
Yeah, for enough bananas. Well, for enough bananas for 10 sandwiches, I guess you would need 10 bananas, and it would probably be like $3 or $4, yeah. And then a jar of peanut butter, if you get cheap peanut butter, it's another $3. So you're looking at probably like $10 all said.
Yeah, and you can get like 10 to 15 sandwiches out of that.
So that's about $1 a sandwich, and a thing of ramen is maybe like...
about $1 a ramen.
Yeah, maybe a little less. Oh, I'm about to be assaulted by your cat.
Uh-oh. Fuck.
This podcast may just be me screaming for the next 20 minutes while your cat eats my foot.
So I'm interested to talk about your history with addiction, which is like apparently a thing you said you've dealt with a bit, and
yeah,
is
totally.
now inherent to your Alden Groves brand.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one way to think about it. It's I guess, like I was saying, like another big part of the reason why I pivoted to just using my name is because it's like, I think it's about sharing my experiences, and a lot of them are very atypical and a lot of them are very intense. And so like I got addicted to heroin when I was like 16 or so.
How did that happen?
It was kind of a gradual thing, because I started drinking and like smoking weed and other stuff like that. It's actually the first time I ever did any substance of any kind. I was 14 and I went to this party at this guy's house, and he was like a senior at the at the high school that I was at. And I drank something like 7 shots of vodka, and I smoked like a couple bowls with everybody, and I took like 4 pills of Percocet. Like that was like my first encounter with any kind of substances whatsoever.
Basically a bunch of alcohol and weed and Percocet.
Yep, exactly.
What is Percocet actually?
It's an opiate.
Okay.
So it's like Vicodin or
Never done that. I've done Xanax. Is it like Xanax?
Xanax is a muscle relaxer,
Okay.
I think. So it's like
What else have I done? I've done Valium.
Valium's also a muscle relaxer.
Okay.
I think Xanax is a muscle relaxer. I'm probably I might be wrong about that.
What is
but I know
Percocet?
What'd you say?
Percocet's
It's an opiate. It's like if you've ever had surgery done, it's the painkillers and stuff that they give you after.
Okay, I have not ever had surgery and then.
So have you ever done any kind of opiate?
You know, I might not have.
Oh, that's wild.
What would be considered an opiate, like a common one?
Vicodin, it would be probably the most common one. Percocet, obviously heroin is one. Oxycodone, Oxycontin.
You know, I might not have ever done an opiate.
That's really weird to me. I mean, I guess it's not really that weird by most standards. You know, it actually might be that you're not from the States.
That
in the
might be
States,
the
you know,
thing.
it's like,
well, actually, having said that though, my brother is addicted, or was at least addicted to oxycodone and heroin.
but I do think that it's more readily distributed here. Like, I feel like doctors more readily hand out those prescriptions here for opiates.
True. Yeah. I guess like same with Adderall and stuff, right? Like I'd never had that before I came to America. I don't think that even exists in Australia. I think what we have there is this stuff called dexamphetamines, which I had there before. People call them Dexies.
That's weird. I think that might just be a different name for it.
Yeah,
I think that
it definitely felt like the same thing.
I think that dextromethorphan is one of the compounds in certain ADHD meds. I can't remember which ones though.
Right. So you went to this party. You had a bunch of alcohol, weed, and Percocet, and that was the first time you'd ever gotten high
on anything.
Clearly, you were probably really fucking high.
Yes, I spent most of the night crying on the floor under the pool table, confessing my love to every girl that walked into the room. So that was step one for me. Obviously, not a great start. And then I mostly smoked weed for a long time, not because I liked it, but because it was what people did. It was like a social thing. And I pretty much hated that across the board, but I did it just about every day. And then I remember when I first did ecstasy, that was the moment of like, wow, drugs can be good. Because I had really bad social anxiety. I had this notion in my head that I had to think about what I was saying before I said it. Like it had to make sense in my head before I opened my mouth, which is just not a good way to have a conversation.
Wait, when you had ecstasy, you had that?
No, before then. Before I had done any drugs, I had really bad social anxiety.
Right.
Because I thought I had to think through what I was saying before I said it. And then I took ecstasy and it sort of erased my inhibition or even my ability to do that.
And then you took that as a positive thing?
Yeah. And it really, I mean, in many ways it was actually. It opened up so that I felt like it was okay for me to talk to people. It made me feel like I was connected to people. Obviously, there's not been a lot of research on the long-term effects of it, but I wouldn't be shocked if it contributed a lot towards some of my mood instability and other weird mental issues that I have now.
True. Yeah. And was it something you were doing a lot?
Oh yeah. Like when I was doing it, I was doing the hell out of it. It was like
every day?
Yeah, just about every day.
You're doing ecstasy every day?
Yeah. I would.
How are you dealing with like the come down?
Oh, I wasn't.
You were just doing more ecstasy.
So what I would do is I would.
And when you say ecstasy, you mean MDMA, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Like Molly or pills that may or may not have been MDMA. Some of them may well have just been like stimulants.
Right. Like Adderall basically.
Mm-hmm. But because you never know what's in the pills, it's probably mostly piperazines, which are just some shit that they cut pills with.
That's insane that you did that every day. For how long?
Oh, at least several years.
Holy fuck! You're doing MDMA every day for several years.
Yeah. So what I would do is, because I didn't really have money or anything like that.
So how are you getting all this?
So this is what I would do is I would middleman for people that actually did have some. And every time they would do a deal, I would just take like 10% off the top. Because people don't fucking weigh it.
Like 10% of the MDMA.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I would they would, sell 2 grams and I would take, 10% of that and just pocket it. And I had enough luck doing that because I was the only person that knew anybody at this high school. So anytime someone needed something, they would come to me.
For reference, if someone sold 2 grams and you took 10% of that, that would be 2 doses.
Yeah, it's 2 points, which are generally accepted to be a dose. For me, it was like, that was just like baseline.
Yeah, right. That's fucking insane. Because if I do MDMA, like I haven't done it in a long time, but every time I have done it in the last few years, and this is really the thing that keeps me from doing it because it is so fucking good, is that the next day I feel so shit, man.
Well, you can imagine, like, if you get into a habit of like, man, I feel bad, I should probably take that again.
But
like, I
that's
don't.
the last thing I think of doing when I'm feeling that way. However, I guess that's because I'm probably not addicted to it.
Right.
I do actually have an issue with alcohol.
Right.
And quite often when I'm hungover, my solution or my thought will be like, I know how to solve this. Just go and drink again.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. Like, and especially you can imagine, you know, at this point, I'm still like 15, 16. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the thing that took away my social anxiety. You know,
Wow.
I'm like, if I have any kind of social awkwardness, if I have any kind of weird interaction with somebody, it's like, I know the solution to this. It was like a cure all for any problem that I had.
Wow. And then I guess like, you probably like got into some mindset where you're like, if I don't have it, the social anxiety will come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I was sort of young and naive enough to see things that way. And so then eventually it got to the point, you know, I was having people over and we were doing Molly or taking pills. And like I said, I was just the middleman. So sometimes like, you know, if I couldn't get in touch with one person, I would have to go to another. And on this particular night, this was the night when I kind of when I found out that it was possible for me to get heroin, because before that it was sort of like a thing that people who weren't me did, you know what I mean? And especially like I'm from Boulder, Colorado, which is sort of a conventionally rich, affluent place.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a heroin city.
Exactly. So it really wasn't even on my radar that it was possible. So I was texting just about everybody in my phone. It's like 10 or 11, maybe even like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just going through my phone being like, hey, you know where I can get some pills? Because everyone at this party is like crashing and like wants more. And I'm like, okay, well, we can all pitch in or throw down for more. And so I'm texting everybody in my phone. And this dude.
This is when you're 16?
Yeah, I think so.
So 2 years after the Percocet pool table thing.
Yes.
All right.
It's a fun frame of reference. And someone hits me back and is like, I don't know where to get pills, but I do know where to get heroin. And I was like, okay, well, and in the moment we all laughed about it and like, haha, can you imagine? Kind of thing. Like, wouldn't that would just be crazy, right? Unless. And so,
Jesus.
you know, and we didn't do it that night, but then my partner at the time, she and I were like, the next day, we definitely had that like, man, that was fucked up. Unless. And then we had that moment and actually, you know, went and got it. And my first experience with it, I remember being underwhelmed.
Really?
I remember being like...
And your first experience was injecting it?
No, we smoked it the first time. Actually, no, the first time I snorted it because it was like powdery enough that was possible. And then I started getting it again and it was like sort of more crystallized to where it couldn't be crushed up. And so we had to start smoking it just sort of out of necessity.
Do you know how the blue oxy pills that are like 60 milligrams each?
Yes.
Maybe they're less than that. Maybe they're 40.
I have seen them before, but I don't.
They're like really strong.
Mm-hmm.
I met a guy the other day who said he would crush up 3 at a time and rail them 3 times a day.
Fuck that.
So he was doing like 120 milligram rails of oxys 3 times a day.
Yeah, I have no idea how that stacks up against heroin. And the thing about heroin is it's not standardized at all. So I have no idea the concentration of what I was doing, or even if it varied from dose to dose or day to day. Like, you have no way of knowing. That's what makes it so dangerous, other than all the other obvious things that make it so dangerous.
Yeah, like, you know, sharing needles and...
You know, actually, so I didn't start injecting until probably a year later when I was like 17. And
still very early to be injecting.
But the reason I did was because there was a needle exchange in Boulder. And I don't want this to sound like a knock against needle exchanges, because needle exchanges are a very valuable and important service that cities can provide. But basically it's this idea that you go in and they assign you like a name, like a digit and a number. So it's like because I was male and I can't remember, they gave me, it was like M0874 or something like that. And so I would go in and they would be like, who are you? And I would say M0874. And they would take you into this room where there was just like tons of bags of needles and syringes and like, you know, radioactive waste boxes that you could throw them when you were done. So you could just walk in and for $0, just grab a handful or just like 50 needles. Like you could just walk up to the counter at some of them, just be like, hey, could I get 50 needles? And they'd be like, sure thing. And then come and bring you some.
Like clean ones, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, they just bring you a bunch of used ones.
They're like, here you go. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that seems definitely healthy and good.
Right. And
I mean, I think like, and maybe this is true already, at least it hasn't been for me since I've been living in America, that STD test should be free here like that too, right?
yeah, they should be. I'm pretty sure they aren't.
I've not had a free one here.
And I don't think they are. I think that there are some places where if you're a certain age, then you can do it for free. I think you have to be like, I think for people under 18, it's free at certain clinics.
Right.
Like I think Planned Parenthood won't charge you, but it's not like a government thing.
Get a fake ID to go get free STD tests. The schemes.
You're gonna do a grift on the government to get some free STD tests.
Yeah.
I found out I didn't have gonorrhea 18 times this year.
All free, baby. With my new fake ID that says I'm 16 and a half. You go in, you're like, I'm this many, and like count it on your fingers. All right, so you did pills for a few years, and you got into heroin. Were you still doing pills while you were doing heroin?
No, I pretty much switched over because it was at a certain point it was actually easier to get, which is kind of weird. You know, I kind of started falling out of the rave scene, and
also this like might be wrong, but I mean definitely not socially, but maybe like physiologically, it's probably better for you to do heroin than pills every day, right?
you know, that may be true, actually. I mean, it's all sort of speculative because it depends on the heroin and it depends on the pills. And
like the purest of MDMA versus the purest of heroin, I feel like the heroin would be way less detrimental.
I mean, as long as you don't die, I guess probably.
Yeah, like obviously. Yeah, obviously if you die.
I feel like the risk for death is higher with heroin, though. Especially once you start shooting up. Because like I said, the concentration varies so much from dose to dose. And especially if you can't always get from the same dealer, or if your dealer can't always get from the same supplier, it's like the variation between doses can be something like a factor of 20. You know,
Holy
like,
shit.
Yeah, it's fucking wild because people cut it so much.
So was there like any times where you like did heroin and you're like, wow, this is way stronger than like another?
Yeah, there was a couple times where I actually like stopped breathing altogether.
Holy
like
fuck.
I almost died. I went over to this girl's house, an old friend of mine, and was like super doped out. And at one point just like collapsed on the floor and stopped breathing. And I just like woke up to her slapping me in the face over and over and over again.
Holy fuck.
Because she said if I didn't wake up right when I did, she was going to take me to the hospital.
Jesus. That's fucked.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. It's weird to think about because like, you know, I'm 25 now. And so this was like almost 9 years ago.
Pretty recent.
But for me, that's like, and maybe part of it is I suspect my use of MDMA every day, I have really bad short and long-term memory loss. Uh-huh. Like I actually can't remember most of my life, and things that happened, like things start to phase out of my memory once it becomes like 2 years ago. You know, I've forgotten entire relationships that I've been in. I've forgotten entire people that I knew. It's like this shit just disappears.
That's crazy.
And so talking about this kind of stuff, it's like I know that it happened, but I mostly kind of know that it happened because people have told me that it happened to some extent. And so it almost feels but at the same time, it's like I have some vague memories of these things happening, but I don't think I would remember them if someone else hadn't told me, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So it almost feels like I'm telling a story about somebody else, even though I know it's me.
Right. Yeah, it's fucking wild. So at what point did you get sober? Because as far as I've known you, pretty much, I've known you for like 5 years. You've been 100% sober the entire time. You don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do any drugs.
It was just about when I turned 18 that I got sober. I think it was just before that because it was December 2012 when I got, or maybe just around then. I can't remember, as we just discussed moments ago, when specifically, but I know it was either end of 2012.
Okay. So still pretty recent too.
Yeah. But I other than a couple either what you could call relapses. I mean, I've never done opiates since then, at least not with any. I mean, I got my wisdom teeth taken out and took the Vicodin that they gave me, but that barely counts. And I took it as directed until the bottle was gone and then moved on with my life. So I don't count that as a relapse, but.
Right. Did you do, when you got your wisdom teeth out, did you go to sleep for it?
Yes, kind of. Yes. I think so. They definitely gave me like the anesthetic, and I think I was supposed to be knocked out, but I really just ended up tripping really hard.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was numb, but I remember it happening, and I had to get another tooth taken out, and I remember as the anesthesia was starting to wear off, and as the gas was starting to wear off, I remember he was having so much trouble getting this tooth out. He was just wailing inside my head with a hammer.
Holy fuck.
And I just remember just like my head bobbing back and forth.
Jesus.
Just like very tripped out, like, what is happening?
So I got both of my wisdom teeth taken out fully conscious, just in the chair.
Holy shit.
And they were both like completely impacted. And they had to, so impacted means growing sideways into the backs of your molars. And both my bottom ones were like that. And they were like, you can get it done. So in Australia, if you're Aboriginal, you get free dental. And I am Aboriginal, so I should have gotten this for free. But the catch was that I would have had to go on a waiting list for like 6 months.
Ugh.
And I had to go to America pretty soon. So I was like, all right, I have to fix this.
Get her done.
Yeah, I just have to get it done. So I was like, all right, what's the cost? And he was like, if you want to go to sleep and do it, it's like 10 grand. If you want to do it in the chair, it's like 2. And I was like,
fuck.
All right, well, I'll just do it in the chair, I guess. Cause
This is like the Saw movies.
Yeah, right. Like some fucked ultimatum that you just have to like
You
choose.
have 2 choices.
One's real bad. They're actually both real bad.
They're both really bad.
Yeah, so I was fucked. They had to like they just numbed my mouth with like general anesthetic.
Jesus
and then
Christ.
they drilled into the tooth like a ton of times. And
you did not get prescribed painkillers for this.
No.
You just dealt with this afterwards.
Yep.
Man, Australia's fucked.
I just drank banana smoothies for like
that probably did the trick then.
a week. Yeah, the banana smoothies really took the edge off the pain. I actually did take just like ibuprofen and shit.
That's wild to me.
Yeah, I didn't take any like serious painkillers. But yeah, so they were drilling into my tooth, or both really, and I could smell like the burning tooth. And then
that's horrible.
Yeah, it was disgusting. And then like also every time they would drill in, the drill would just make the most fuck sound. It'd be like,
and it's
like,
in your head too.
Exactly.
So it's like vibrating your whole skull,
resonating through my head and shit. And then also
that's how you got inspired to make dubstep.
Yeah, that's why my sound design skills are the way they are. I'm trying to relive that moment because it was real positive for me.
You're just trying to work through trauma. It's exposure therapy.
Yeah, totally. And then they had to put like this little tool inside the holes that they were drilling, which was basically like a thin prong. And once it's in the middle of the tooth, they like pull a thing and it kind of opens up within the tooth and breaks it into pieces. And then they just pull the tooth out bit by bit and then they sew the hole up.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, and each tooth took about 3 hours, or actually maybe like 2 hours each. It was like,
here's a banana smoothie.
Yeah.
The prescription is for 15 cc's of banana smoothie.
Right. Yeah, actually from memory, I think I did one at a time because my top 2 were like not impacted and they just were able to pull those out super easy. Bottom 2, not so easy. And yeah, just like, I just had to, I think I did 1 tooth at a time. Like I did one week and then 1 the next week.
Oof.
Yeah, it sucked.
Woof.
Big woof.
Welcome to Mr. Bill's Tooth Podcast.
Yeah,
We talk about the horrors of modern dentistry.
It like, I don't know, I was thinking about it and I was like, this would have sucked if I had done this in the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
Or like the 50s.
Oh,
or some
yeah.
shit.
Or like any time ever before that.
Yeah, oh yeah, pretty much. Like dentistry now is like pretty good. Actually,
it used to be like a performative thing. Like they would have like dentists that would like bring people up on stage and they would like rip out their teeth on stage in front of an audience.
Like whilst the person was like not under painkillers or anesthetic.
I don't think they had that back then. I think it was just
they'd
like,
probably just get people real drunk, right?
I guess that's probably what they had.
Like just, drink like a whole bottle of whiskey and then just like take his tooth out. And then it's like you wake up the next day, not only so sick that you think you're going to die, but also in the worst pain ever.
Yeah.
And then probably with an infection.
You know,
You're just like, this is a real bad combo.
I guess I'll take the generalized anesthetic then. This is our sequel to our earlier Saw movie.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your options. Yeah, right. Okay, so then you went to, like, how did you get sober after all this stuff?
So I was really fortunate in that I had the opportunity to go to an inpatient rehab. So I was there for 4 weeks, and then I was in sober living for a year after that.
So what is sober living?
It's like, so in rehab, it's literally they're helping you to detox. Like I was put on, can't remember what it's called, but it's some sort of like.
Is it Suboxone?
It is Suboxone. Good guess.
I have heard of this.
So Suboxone, as far as I understand it, and I'm not a doctor, but as far as I understand it, the way it's usually prescribed is that people take X dose for a month, and then 1/2 of that dose for another month, and then 1/2 of that dose for, whatever. That's the way it's usually prescribed, which is not to say that that's the most effective way to have it prescribed. The way it was given to me was I had dose A for 3 days, a dose that was half of that for 2 days, a dose that was half of that for 2 days, and then a really small dose for 2 days, and that was it. So what usually takes months and months and months, they did for me in a week, and I had no withdrawal symptoms.
Probably because you were young, right?
They did that with everybody that went there. I was the youngest person there by a lot.
Right.
But it's interesting. It actually was very easy for me to get clean once I actually did it, because I'd been trying for a long time before that, but the withdrawal was just so bad that I just couldn't handle it. And so once they put me in rehab and got me on this Suboxone, that basically just made it so I had very few, almost negligible withdrawal symptoms, especially since at that point I was like out of money. So I was going through withdrawal just about every day, and I was trying to figure out how to get more dope by the end of the day. So I would be in withdrawal symptoms pretty much every morning until probably about 3 p.m. when I could figure out some sort of scheme to get more dope, or until my fucking dealer woke up.
What was the craziest scheme that you ever schemed up to get more dope?
Oh gosh. I mean, I took, at one point I went up into my mom's room and just like raided her like jewelry box and just like took a bunch of like antiques that I knew were my grandma's, which is like fucked up, right?
Yeah, that's pretty fucked.
And then I stole money out of my friends' purses and all that kind of stuff. Like I took a lot of money from a lot of people. Which is not like really a scheme so much as just being a dick.
Being a thief, yeah.
Yeah. But stuff like that, and you never think you're gonna get there. Like you hear about that in a TV show and you're like, oh, it almost seems cartoonish, right? Like you're like, how could a person do that? But you'd be surprised what you'll do with the right incentive structure.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you did sober living for a year, and then you're out of there when you were 19.
Yep. Just when I was 19, probably about to turn 20.
And that's pretty much about the time where people probably started hearing about Evoke, right?
Yeah.
So at what point during all of this did you get good at making neuro?
So I was talking about Curse's Let's Call It Neuro Hop Mix. So before that, before I went to rehab, I was doing like electro house and trance and all the sort of conventional genres that were just.
So at the same time as like doing all of this heroin, you were also producing music.
Yeah. I've been producing since I was 14.
Fuck, crazy. So like, how exactly were you managing to like find the time to produce among being on fucking MDMA every day and being on heroin?
I mean, it was just it was just something I made time to do always. I got my first laptop for producing because one of my friends carjacked a laptop out of somebody else's car and gave me her old one. And like,
so basically your life was just like getting high and being on the computer writing music.
Basically. Yeah. And like, for example, in math class, they would be like, okay, your project is due next week. So you have work time for the next hour to work on it. And I would just bust open my laptop and open FL Studio and just start jamming out.
Nice. And, so also during school, did you ever go to class like high on MDMA?
Yeah, I always had like about a gram in a little bag in my pocket, and in any time during class or in between classes, or I would just sneak out to the bathroom, and there was like one single occupancy bathroom, and so I would just pop in there, do a line, and then go back to class.
That's fucking wild. I went to school high just on weed once, and I got on the bus and I was like so fucking dizzy from being high that I like asked somebody if I could like sit in their seat on the bus, and the guy was just like, yeah. He like just saw that I was like real fucked up, but I felt like real bully-ish for asking him to do that. And then I felt really bad about it. And then I got to school, and I was just like, literally got there, and like 5 seconds later was like, this isn't happening. And I walked to the train station and caught the train back.
You made your best effort.
Yeah. Getting high. I smoked a shitload of weed when I was younger. And yeah, trying to do that in school was not a thing.
I'm amazed that I graduated. So the particular high school I went to had lower graduation requirements than the acceptance requirements for most colleges. And even with that being the case, I barely passed those requirements in my last semester of my senior year by writing a comedy article for the school newspaper. That was what pushed me over the edge by like 0.1 credits.
Fuck. What is the measurement system here? It's like GPA or something, right?
Yeah, GPA.
What was your GPA?
My GPA was like unintuitively good because I don't know.
Like really good is like 4, right?
Yeah, I think I had just above a 3. I think I had like a 3.2.
Yeah, that's actually, I've heard that's like decent, right?
Yeah, it's like it's a pretty solid.
What's the rating system between 0 and 4, right?
I think so.
And like 4 is insane.
And then there's technically higher than 4, but it's mostly for rich people who.
Yeah. They just buy the extra points.
That's basically how it works.
That's fucking
They
crazy.
get special tutoring and then get special rich people classes that give them like a 4.8 GPA or something.
Damn.
So they can look pretty on paper to get into Harvard. But yeah, I mean, honestly, all things considered, it's just like I did okay. That's what's weird to me is I have almost no recollection of any of that, but I seem to have gotten out all right. And I'm super lucky because I don't have anything on my criminal record other than, me talking about it publicly. There's no record of this ever even really happening. So like I'm not a felon. I'm not in any kind of legal trouble. I was able to recover and just live a normal life now.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome that you're able to get out the other end, and now that you kind of like have this like mentality about like, I mean, you're a really sober person now. Like I've always known you, since I've known you, you've always been like an incredibly sobering and just sober person. What is that? Sobering? Are you a sobering person?
I don't know. I think sobering means like almost like harrowing.
What's that?
Like it's like sobering. It would be like something that really makes you like come to your senses, but it's usually got like a almost like a dark connotation to it. Like if something is sobering, it's like I had an experience where I was almost hit by a train and it was sobering.
Yeah, I would say in some sense you're sobering.
Okay, well, I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, at this point now, it's funny because a lot of people that meet me probably think I'm this very like straight-laced person because I don't even, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't even drink caffeine. I'm vegan, I have all these things. There's just so many things.
At a coffee shop.
Yeah, I do work at a coffee shop serving coffee to people, and I don't drink it. But I think a lot of people that meet me now probably assume that that's just how I've lived my life. And
right, but it like took some like serious other side to like get you to that point.
Yeah, it was a sobering experience, one could say.
Yeah, nice one, dude.
Boom, callbacks. We got callbacks for days.
Yeah. So at this point now, would you say like most of your Alden Groves stuff is kind of like written about this sort of stuff?
Not really by design, but that is sort of what tends to come out. Because when I start writing lyrics, I don't think I'm going to write lyrics about this. I'll literally just write the first line and then just keep going line by line by line until it's done. And then at the end, I'll kind of go back and see if, and usually it's kind of like producing where you get a certain amount in, you realize what you're doing, and then you can kind of go back and edit things to match the concept. At least that's how I produce.
Man, there's this thing that a lot of producers tell me all the time. They're like, producing used to be fun and I used to be able to like get massively engaged, but now I find it really difficult to get into that zone. Do you know that, like, you know, when you get really incredibly engaged in a piece of music and you can't, you're not thinking about anything else, like you're not thinking about like checking social media or your phone, or you're not checking, like you lose track of time and shit like
the
that.
flow state, quote unquote.
Exactly. Yeah. How often would you say you get into that state, and what are your tricks for getting into that state?
I would say it is more often than not that I get there when I'm in the studio. And I think that's why, that's one of the reasons I like singing and rapping so much, is I sort of don't know what I'm doing in sort of the literal sense of the word. I when I'm producing, it's like I understand what a kick is and what a snare is and what's happening melodically and what key I'm in and what the rhythm looks like. And I know if I make a beat that looks like this, it's going to sound like this. When I'm singing or rapping, you know, whatever notes and words come out, that's just what I go with. And so like I said, I don't structure any sort of concept. And a lot of the time my lyrics can end up being kind of collagey as a result of that. But I don't mind that. I think that a lot of the time the feeling still comes across. And that's what's interesting to me, is when people respond to me and they'll be like, oh, I connected with this song so much. And I go back and read the lyrics and I'm like, it almost could be interpreted as word salad. But I think that I think the feeling is there. And I think that, you know, whether I know it or not, there is something that's being communicated by whatever part of me is writing those lyrics.
Right. Speaking of like lyric stuff, you did you sent me a vocal to put as the pre-drop vocal for the Sub Dr. collab. What does it say again? It says
it's I'm trying to remember which part of it you used, but I think did it start with the "We are 5 fingers deep" bit?
Yeah.
So it's "We're 5 fingers deep in the eyes of our keepers, and I'm 6'3", but we're 9 miles deeper."
Yeah. What does that mean?
So basically the idea is, so like the eyes of our keepers, right? If you think about what a keeper is, it's like someone that keeps you. So it would be sort of like authority. So being 5 fingers deep in the eyes of authority is like you're literally pulling out the eyes of the people that are supposed to be watching you. And then the 6'3" thing, that's just very slightly taller than how tall I am. And then the 9 miles deeper thing is like sort of the intrinsic depth of a person, right? Like you can measure their actual height in inches, but you can't really measure their depth in any sort of meaningful way. So it's kind of like...
So you're saying like that's their physical stature, but like their personal stature or their personality stature is like a lot deeper. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so the reason why we had to put that in is because the original vocal said... I can't even remember. It was like something from a pack of vocals that Joshua Space Jesus gave me. And then I sent him my EP and I was like, hey, there's a couple of vocals in this EP from the pack you sent me. Is it cool if we use these on the release? And he was like, actually, not that one. He was like, the rest are fine. I think there was like 2 more on the EP. He was just like, that one I'm actually already using in a song. I can't
even remember what the original
was like. Walking on the sun until his motherfucking feet melt. It was like, it was something about, it said blast off with no seatbelt, walking on the sun until his motherfucking feet melt, which was cool. It was
That's good.
It was a cool line.
It's good lyrics, my guy.
Yeah, I think that was from Pistol.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm actually about to release the song that you sort of, I guess, in effect sampled for 5 Fingers Deep now. Like that's going to come out in a couple weeks.
Oh, true. Okay, so that song isn't even out.
No, it's not.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
It's funny you actually sampled it before it's out.
That's funny.
You got the hot jams.
That's a mad dub plate sample right there.
But yeah, it's the song is called Hologram Hole, and it's going to come out, I think, in like the next 2 or 3 weeks. So depending on when this episode comes out, this episode
will come out. So there's one coming out tomorrow, and then this will come out the following Monday.
Okay. So then the song won't be out yet, but it'll be out in the next like week or 2.
Okay, cool. And like, where can people find that? Just your SoundCloud? Yeah,
I mean, really any of the SoundCloud would be a good place. But honestly, I tend to steer people more towards my YouTube, just because I'm doing more interesting stuff on YouTube now than I am on SoundCloud. Like I'm doing weekly live streams, and I'm doing more vlogs and videos and all that kind of stuff.
So in like a week or 2 from the time this episode comes out, if they just type Hologram Hole Alden Groves on YouTube.
And it's Hole like WHOLE.
Okay.
Or you could just go to youtube.com/Alden Groves.
Sweet. Yeah, and I noticed you've like started to get into the Discord game now and stuff. Dude, Discord is lit.
It's really very strange.
I love it.
It's what is it? Like, have you ever used Slack?
Yeah. It's like Slack for fucking gamers.
Yeah, I used to use Slack, and so when I opened Discord and realized that it was literally just Slack.
What did you use Slack for?
Oh God, what did I use it for? I think I used it to communicate with Josh, our manager, our former manager.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, for people listening, we used to share a manager.
I got him on weekends, and then we alternated every week.
So he used to manage Savant, and then he was actually the guy who got me my first visa here, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was an interesting time.
Yeah, it was an interesting time.
Because there was a brief moment of time where you, me, Savant, and Truth were all under the same management.
Yeah, like 4 vastly different artists.
Yeah, it was just very strange.
Yeah. Yeah, probably out of like that group, we are probably like the most closely related artists.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Truth and Savant.
Because Neuro and Glitch have always, especially when you get into that sort of mid-tempo thing, there's kind of a relationship there.
Yeah, totally. Do you ever like kind of miss going down the sound design rabbit holes with the Neuro stuff, or do you feel like you still kind of get to do that in the music you do now?
So I teach music now at a school called Slam Academy in Denver. And so a lot of the time, either whether I'm in class or whether I'm making a demo in class, like we did an open house where it was basically demonstrate to these people that you would be a good instructor. And so I made this very dense Neuro track that had all sorts of crazy sound design just to be like, look what I can do, kids, come learn from me. And so in that application, I still get to dive into it. And I find it really fun and interesting. And I still do some of that especially now that I'm doing the rap stuff more, I feel like I have a bit more playroom. I don't have to stick to melodic, which can be tougher with singing. Like when you're singing, it sort of feels like you have to keep your track within a certain degree of melodic consistency, so you have something to sing along to. Or at least that's for me. I'm sure there are singers who can sing along to anything. But with rap stuff, it's like, oh, I can kind of do whatever and get away with it. So I'm starting to incorporate that a bit more. I have some unreleased tracks that incorporate some more intense sound design. But all in all, it really just is like, it's something that I use more for fills than anything.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that makes sense. When are we gonna work on the metal stuff more?
Oh yeah, can I say it?
Yeah. So we started a metal project called James Dean Death Machine.
It's fantastic.
And we almost had an EP, I feel like.
We're very close to having an EP. We are like on the precipice. We are edging an EP right now.
Dude, absolutely. And I thought like 2 of the tracks, both the ones with vocals on them were fucking sweet.
Yeah, I really like those tunes. It's finding time to do everything is difficult because I've got the job at the coffee shop 4 days a week. I've got the job at Slam Academy 3 days a week, and then I do live streams on the day that I'm not doing those things. So it's like, so
you basically like every day you've got stuff.
I work every day.
Crazy
on something, and so it's like, when I do have some free time, I'm more tempted to want to spend it on just like my own stuff, like my little like passion project stuff, where it's like, this is the reason I'm making music at all, is to make the things that I think are interesting. Not that I don't think the metal stuff is interesting, but you can see what I mean. It's like,
yeah, I feel it.
It's different than totally just like being on your own grind.
Yeah, I feel that. I really want to finish that stuff at some point. Me too.
It's been on my mind a lot recently.
Yeah, I kind of stopped thinking about it because I was like, it'll happen when it happens, I suppose.
Yeah, and I'm definitely... Is KJ still interested? Is that still something he's down with?
Yeah, I think so. Like if we were to ever do shows, I think KJ would be down to play drums.
Tight.
And he did like a few...
You should get him on here. That would be tight.
I would love to have him on here, actually. He's a pretty interesting dude to talk to. Like, he's got a lot of stories from like touring.
Well, he's been doing this forever. Like he was with Pendulum, right? I mean, like... Yeah,
he's with Pendulum. He was also with Destroyed. And then he's just done a lot of big tours. Like now he's sort of doing a lot of stuff with bigger... he also played drums for Illenium for a while.
Oh, weird.
Like, for instance, at Red Rocks, he played with Illenium. And I think he did a few other big shows with him.
That's wild.
And he's also like... I mean, obviously through working with Destroyed has like really closely worked with Excision. And honestly, like Excision and Rob Swire are like pretty much 2 of the like top of the game dudes. And he's worked with both of them.
Totally.
And then I've worked with Deadmau5. So between both of us, we've worked with like a lot of the top.
Is Rob Swire, is he He's part of Knife Party, right? Are they still a thing?
I'm not sure.
I haven't heard from them. I guess that answers the question then, doesn't it? If you or I, the people who know most things, haven't heard of them.
Yeah, we know all.
Our encyclopedic knowledge between the two of us.
Did you see that,
no stone left
Donald
unturned.
Trump tweet where he was like, if Turkey, he's like, I'm a big supporter of Turkey, but if they, in my great and unmatched wisdom, do anything that I see to be out of line, I'll fucking end their economy.
That's real?
Yeah, that was like a real tweet.
That sounds like a like the sort of thing. It's weird because anytime it feels like he keeps escalating the self-parody, where it's like, I feel like I remember people saying when this presidency started that there was going to be like, oh, this is going to be a rich vein for comedy. Like, oh, there's going to be so many good jokes about this. But you can't parody him in a way that he won't actually just do to himself.
It's insane, man. Like every time I see it or hear about it and somebody just tells me like, oh yeah, this is a new thing that he said, I'm just like, or like you see it, you know how sometimes like people will botch up like an Elon Musk tweet,
right? And
they'll like screenshot it and send it, and it'll say something dumb like, 42069 is a sick number, or some just stupid shit,
meme shit.
Yeah, and you'll go look at his Twitter account and be like, that's not a real thing he said or tweeted. Like with Donald Trump, you don't even have to do that. You can literally just screenshot his Twitter and
it's a meme already.
It's insanely funny. I talked to Squanto about this last week or the week before. And he reckons Donald Trump is just a god tier shit poster, and that he's actually like doing the 10-dimensional chess thing.
I don't know about that.
I absolutely don't think so.
I don't give him that much credit. I think like it would just be. I just think that ascribes to him more intelligence than is worth it. It's like there's so many conspiracy theories that people don't want to accept that people are just dumb and inept, so they assume that they're actually incredibly smart and that everything has been cleverly orchestrated to make everything just so. Like
what would be an example of that? Like
I mean, I don't know about the 9/11 thing. I obviously no one knows, but to me it seems like the willingness to believe in 9/11 truther stuff is less based on evidence and more based on like, this can't have happened really, so someone must have orchestrated it.
Right. Which side of the fence do you sit on with that? Do you think it's like orchestrated by the government, or do you think it's like a thing that's totally just like it just happened out of terror?
If I had to guess, I would probably guess the latter. I definitely think it was probably a
terrorists banded together to try and incite terror.
And I know that there's a lot of people online that feel very strongly about it one way or the other. I don't know that I feel very strongly about it one way or the other. I just know that I don't think people. And there's other like Flat Earth is a better example. Like Flat Earth or Hollow Moon or Fake Moon, any of that stuff.
What is Hollow Moon?
You get to hear about this now. Hollow Moon truthers are people that believe that the moon is actually a spaceship that the government has put up into the sky to keep watch over us or something like that, and that it's hollow on the inside and they keep aliens or demons or something in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so stuff like that, it's like people want to, and people use that kind of stuff. Like Flat Earth isn't just about Flat Earth. It's like people use it to justify other beliefs about how things aren't dumb or bad. They're being cleverly orchestrated by an intelligent, group of people who are pulling all the strings. And it's like, I just don't buy it. I think people are just dumb. And it's especially with the president. I just think he's a fucking idiot.
I've always wondered, like, who benefits from anyone believing the earth is flat? Because, I mean, like, with 9/11, if that, like, was orchestrated by the government, the government could benefit from it in certain ways. Like, they could just make the airport more of a pain in the ass. Not really sure how that benefits them. It really just costs them money. They could really change the laws around a bunch of, like, surveillance laws and stuff like that. So they could like get more data from us and stuff like that.
Right.
I can't really think of like, I'm sure there's like so many implications for like how that could benefit the government, but with Flat Earth, it's like, how the fuck does anyone benefit from?
I'm trying to think. I've read into it before. I know that they think that NASA is like invented by the government specifically to convince people that the earth is round. And I think the theory behind that is that, like, I know that there's some people that are religious and are saying that it's being invented to convince people that there's no God, to try to make us seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things. And really it's like, oh, there's only this one planet and it's flat and the moon is just being projected up there or something like that. And they're doing that to make us lose our faith in God. I know that that's one angle. There's a lot of people that believe a lot of different things as a result of it.
Yeah, true. The one that I've heard is that it's basically just like, yeah, well, if they can convince us that the earth is round, they convince us of anything. And then that kind of like justifies literally anything.
Right. It's one of those catch-all
Exactly.
excuses.
Yeah, totally. Fucking stupid.
Yeah, it is very dumb. But I think it's another good point of just like people don't want to feel insignificant. They don't want to feel like they're part of a vast, uncaring expanse of stars and space. And so they are like, okay, well, that can't possibly, it's uncomfortable, so it can't possibly be true. So I'm going to invent something else that, even though it's in many ways more ridiculous, is at least cozier.
Do you reckon this is like some sort of ignorance is bliss type dealio?
I think that's exactly right. I think that's a more succinct way of putting all the dumb shit I just said.
Yeah, but instead of like ignoring something, like creating some way larger, like organized system in their brain.
It's willful ignorance. It's like it's something that is designed to perpetuate and create ignorance.
Yeah, but like if you actually talk to a conspiracy theorist, like Squanto, for instance, he'll like convince you, or like, well, not really convince you, but he'll talk to you in a very convincing way that, like, no, you're the one who's being ignorant from like all this shit the government's doing.
Yeah, well,
like,
and it's people that believe something that strongly can be very persuasive, especially when, you know, I feel like in talking with you, I feel like you and I are the kinds of people that our default is to try to see every angle of the situation and to like really seek out the nuance. But when you meet someone that believes something really strongly, it's like there's at least a part of you that's like, maybe they're right. Like they feel so strongly about this. There's something persuasive just about the sure-footedness with which they say things.
Yeah, so I think like when somebody is so sure of something, and I see this in musicians a lot, when they just like think they're the shit, and when like they just exert so much zeal because they're just so insanely like, you know, they just believe in themselves a lot, you know. You're way more likely, I think, to follow them and like find them engaging and find what they do engaging than if the opposite is true. Like if they're not very sure of themselves.
Well, we think that we like humility, but like in practice, what we tend to seek out is not humility. What we tend to seek out is people who feel very strongly about things and have a lot of very steadfast opinions and have rules by which they live and, you know, systems that they categorize the world into. Because those things are very appealing. It's nice to think that someone knows what's going on. And that's a very attractive sort of mythos.
Would you go as far as to call a conspiracy theorist a steadfast motherfucker?
You know, I don't use that term lightly. You know I don't. But I think I would call them a steadfast motherfucker.
That's going to be my new name for conspiracy theorists. Be like, shut up, you steadfast motherfucker.
Perfect.
All right.
Incarnate. All these steadfast motherfuckers fucking with my shit.
How do you like when you're writing lyrics, how often like do you kind of I mean, I've got to imagine the anxieties for writing lyrics are got to be similar to writing electronic music or just music in general, where you're like, oh fuck, I'm like using that word too much, or like,
it's exactly the same.
Or I'm using this phrase, or like this type of like 3-2-1 type phrasing or something too much, or something like
absolutely. That's exactly it.
And then quite often will you like just fuck with it until it's not that, so you can feel good about not doing the same things too much.
Yeah, exactly. Which is honestly, I think in many ways can actually be a detriment. And I think that's probably true for making music as well. But I have a pretty extensive vocabulary. And because I'm so resistant to using the same word twice, I often end up using words that people don't know. And I think that can...
Like what would be an example of a word that not a lot of people know?
I'm trying to think of... Let me think.
You know the word boulderize?
I don't know that word.
You know the word corpulent?
I've heard it before, but I don't know what it means.
It means like you have a lot of corpse, like you're fat.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, well, I would say I am more corpulent than you, but like I got this app on my phone, like maybe 5 or 6 months ago. It's called Vocabulary Builder. It just gives me a new word every day.
See, that would be dangerous for me.
Well, what I try and do is like whatever word it gives me of the day, I'll just start trying to use it like stupid fucking like just in shit that doesn't even make sense.
You just try to work it into your day.
Yeah,
You're just like, this is gonna make its way into a conversation. Do you usually tell people that it's a vocab app, or do you just be like,
no,
you just roll it in?
Yeah, I just try and like excessively start using it just so
like,
I can
this corpulent, steadfast motherfucker.
Be like, dude, this is the most corpulent fucking meal right now that I am trying to jam into my face.
Hating it.
Yeah.
That word. That's one of those words that sounds like what it is. Like it's like you hear it and it's like corpulent. Like it sounds like what's the other one? I feel like maggot is a word like that. Like the word maggot sounds like what a maggot is. What else would it be called? Right. Yeah. Or creases.
Or orange.
Whoa. I don't know about that one.
Well, I don't feel like it's literally orange. Like the only way it could be more what it is if it was named Orange Ball.
It should be. You pick up any of those orange balls at the store?
What about any of the red balls? You got any of those red balls?
A little stemmy.
Like, you mean apples?
Like you could be talking about loose definitions of the word red. You could be talking about red grapes. You could be talking about plums, apples, pomegranates.
You got any of those yellow peeny weenies?
Jesus.
There's a name, right, for a word that like sounds exactly like what it is or something?
It's not an onomatopoeia.
No, that's like a sound that describes an action.
It's like kind of like the inverse of that. Sort of. But there's that's ironic that we're trying to remember. Like, that would be a good word to know. Ask your vocabulary app.
Well, the vocabulary app, you don't really have any control over what word it gives you.
That's deep.
It just gives you a word every day, just a random one.
It's like life, man.
Yeah, and they're all like long ass words that like if you check it out on Google Ngram haven't been used a lot since like, the 1600s and shit.
Yeah. But yeah, with writing lyrics, I often find that I end up using words that are needlessly verbose at times. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it always benefits me. But at the same time, it's like I do think that it gives me my own lyrical style too. Like I think that it is distinctive and just with that combined with my goal of just being really super raw and transparent with lyrics, I feel like it ends up with this interesting balance. Because the thing is like I'm not trying to like shoehorn those words in there. It's just that those are the words that come to mind for me. Granted, there's like an extent to which I'm trying not to use the same word twice, like we were talking about. But I don't go on like a thesaurus website and look for words I don't know to use. I'm just thinking about, okay, which word would mean, or which word would fit into this rhyme scheme, which is really mostly how I write, is I write one line and I'll keep writing until I find a line. It's very much like music production in that it's like, I'll start writing and I'll just start at the beginning and I'll keep writing until I hit a line that I think is really cool. And then I'll work off of that line's rhyme scheme and just keep going forward from there. And then sometimes I'll go back from there and edit the stuff that ended up leading up to it, or I'll just cut it out completely. You find the nugget of good idea and then you just accentuate and highlight that and then delete and trim the fat of stuff that's not useful. And it's just like electronic music for me, at least the way I produce is like, I just get into the session and I start messing with sounds until something is like, ooh, that's interesting. And then I trim away all the stuff that is less interesting and then riff off of that idea.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you quite often like, are you like a pen and paper guy, or are you you're a Word document?
I'm a Notes app guy.
Right. So like how often do you use the editing function of the Note app to just like cut and paste shit like in random places to see what happes?
Oh, that's a cool idea. I've never thought about that. I
feel like I would take that like weird IDM-y edity approach to it.
I was just thinking about that. I immediately when you said that, it's like, I wonder how many of these sort of hacks that you've talked about, or like these just like little creativity things, or even procedural, generation stuff, Like, I bet you could procedurally generate a sentence.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you could just like get a. I mean, you could probably do that with pretty basic like Python code.
I bet there's something online that can do it.
Do you use an iPhone?
I do.
So there's a thing on iPhone called Pythonista, and it's basically just like Python scripts for iPhone. And I'm sure somebody there has like generated some random dictionary word.
You could just do a random word generator and then just keep using it.
Yeah, and then just like edit from there or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a cool idea. Or you could take like a whole sentence and make it, just try to find anagrams of it. Yeah. Like write an entire verse and then just like try to find anagrams so it jumbles up the letters but keeps the same number of letters and stuff like that. That's a cool idea. I think that might be, I haven't really toyed with anything like that, but I absolutely will.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting.
Because I feel like you could end up with some sentences in there or even like concepts that wouldn't occur to you otherwise, in the same way that you can sort of collaborate with the randomized elements of, a DAW or something like that.
Right, like you could procedurally generate a sentence and then be like, oh, wow, that kind of could mean like this, this, and this. And then you could like...
kind of get apophonic with it.
Right, and then like finesse it in more ways to make it more specifically mean that or something.
Mm-hmm. Just sort of, again, and it's the same thing you would be doing on the level of electronic music of just like, okay, there's a cool idea in there. I just need to figure out how to highlight, extract, and accentuate it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I guess for people listening, we just went to this talk that I talked at, held by Ableton, called Spaces, and the whole thing was like based on creative stuff, how to be creative. And my whole spiel was pretty much to create stimulus for yourself, to jolt like musical ideas out. So for instance, like putting randomizers on your master and stuff like that, you can just like have it spit a bunch of random stuff out, and then that would like, create some stimulus for you to be like, oh, that makes me feel like this, and now I want to make a different thing. But yeah, I definitely think that would be possible to do lyrically.
You might even be able to do it in Ableton. Just like...
Oh, actually, yeah, you could just... this would be the largest task, but you could literally record
a transient marker per word too.
Yeah, and just read from the entire dictionary, and then cut each single word into drum racks.
Oh my god!
And then put arpeggiators on everything.
That's wild. I would think probably the easier approach, or at least the
No, Alden.
Okay, I'll go get my dictionary. But I think you could, I could at least go through an acapella of something that I'd done, wipe all the transient markers, put one at the beginning of each word, and then slice to MIDI, and then arpeggiate it.
Yeah. It
would sound horrible, but you could get something out of it.
Might sound good.
Yeah, it might sound good.
Well, yeah, is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Oh yeah, let's talk about the hip hop thing. So like you asked me a question earlier, you were like, if somebody sampled like a loop out of one of your tracks and then the track got really big, would I be pissed off about that?
Yeah. So basically so I've been listening to a lot of hip hop and stuff like that recently. And there's a lot of hype around certain producers where it's like, oh, this producer is so good. And then you'll watch a video of them producing and you realize that effectively the core, like the heart of their song is something that is like a 2 or 4 bar sample that they just lifted from somebody else. And so one of the interesting questions that poses is like, is the person who sampled it also a good producer, or is the person who originally made that sound the good producer, or both? It's an interesting thing to posit, because I come from the sort of electronic music background. And so when I hear a song, my first inclination is to assume that the person kind of built it from the ground up. And a lot of the times that's just not the case. It's like one sample that's either been chopped or even sometimes just looped that forms the whole heart of the song.
Right. And in that case, like, are the people who made the original song getting credited and paid for that?
I would think so. I mean, I know there was that Juice WRLD song that got really big, which I assume is totally out of your wheelhouse and probably the wheelhouse of most of the people listening to this. There's an artist called Juice WRLD who got really big off of a song that I can't remember the name of, but it sampled Sting. Like, the artist Sting, and they didn't clear it. And so the song got huge, and then Sting ended up like suing them and taking something like 80 or 90% of their royalties.
Wow.
But it's interesting because, and it was a ballsy move because it's a very recognizable sample. So like the only way they could have gotten away with that is if
it didn't get so big, pretty much.
Right. Which it may have been this artist's breakout hit. Maybe they had no reason to expect that it would get big, but there was like a music video for it. So you assume at some point they were like, let's put a bunch of money behind this.
Right.
You would think
without
that
clearing the sample.
At some point they would want to clear the sample, unless the record label just sort of is like assuming that they cleared it.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems fucking weird. I'd have to.
Sample law is super weird. It's really, I mean, in theory, you're supposed to, even if you were to take 1 second or like a quarter of a second of audio from a song, you're supposed to clear that.
Yeah, so I actually at the start of this year taught for a little while at Berkeley, Valencia, and basically the 2 master's programs that run there. One is electronic music production, pretty much, and the other one is music business. So I got to talk to some music business students there a little bit, and yeah, they pretty much said the same thing. They were like, yeah, if you sample anything at all from any song, it needs to be cleared.
I know there's like that myth that if you sample something for less than 2 seconds, you don't have to clear it, but that is a myth.
I feel like the myth that I heard was even longer than that. It was like 7 seconds. And then there's like this other myth where it's like, I was talking to Anand about this like yesterday. It was some shit like, if the song is like 99 years old, then it just becomes like public domain and totally sampleable.
That's true.
That is true. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it depends because sometimes you have to check if something is in the public domain because it's what is in the public domain is sort of dependent on who wants to invest money in it not being in the public domain.
Yeah. And it's all like fucking bullshit songs like Happy Birthday and shit.
Right. Exactly. And there is stuff that is, but it's mostly useless. Especially like the audio quality from back then is not good. And then all the stuff that, and a lot of the stuff, like for example, I assume that when the Beatles songs would eventually roll into being public domain, they're going to lobby legally to make it so that that's not the case. Like you're not going to be able to just sample Hey Jude because the people who own the rights to those songs are very interested in not.
Which is it not Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson wasn't in the Beatles, my guy.
Yeah, but he bought their entire catalog.
Oh, weird.
I'm pretty sure he owns all of it.
That's I mean, isn't he dead?
Yep, apparently. Unless you're a steadfast cocksucker. Then who knows? Maybe he's in the moon.
He's the one who used the rolling pin to flatten the earth.
But yeah, I think he owns a lot of the Beatles catalog.
Interesting.
I think. I just
whomever is associated with that. It's so weird. Music rights and stuff like that is so weird because we were just talking, earlier we were talking about Daft Punk and how they sort of transparently, obviously sampled a bunch of songs and then made them these huge hits, even when the original songs definitely were not. And it's sort of interesting because obviously it's transformative. And like you were talking about in your talk earlier, all creativity is sort of reactive anyway. You're reacting to a stimulus and altering or modifying it in some way, or at least just trying.
To me, creativity is the ability to take something and use it in a way that nobody else has thought to use it. So like taking a ladder and instead of using it to get to a high place and climb something, I don't know, use it as like
washboard.
There you go. A giant washboard. That to me is like a creative use of a ladder, for instance, or like, something I remember my dad doing this when he was fairly young. He got a paintbrush and used one of the bristles on the paintbrush to unclog a valve on a carburetor. And I was like, that's a creative use of a paintbrush. Like I would never have thought to use the bristle on a paintbrush as a tiny thing to unclog another thing. I would use it to paint. That's what it's a paintbrush.
Right.
It's in the name. So, like for me, that's creative stuff. So like in Ableton, that would be, taking stuff, like weird, like resampling your master with a shitload of effects on it, which you're not supposed to do. And then writing a new chord progression over that and then creating a new drum beat for that or something like that. Like you're not supposed to use a song that way. You're supposed to like just write it in this, At least traditionally, that's not the way that music is written. So to me, that is like creative songwriting. In the way that Daft Punk did it, I mean, it's kind of creative. They took a bunch of stuff that was like hundreds of years old. Well, not hundreds, like they took a bunch of stuff that from the fucking from the Renaissance era, dude. No, they took a bunch of stuff that was, I don't know, basically from the generation before them. What, like probably 40 years old?
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know. They took a
That
bunch.
feels true though.
Yeah, they basically took a bunch of funk music and then layered fucking just better drums under it and turned it into French electro.
Right, and then just sidechained it to hell.
Yeah, exactly. So in that sense, I mean, it's kind of creative. They figured out a way to repurpose these songs that didn't really get that huge in the first place into like massive, like the biggest songs that have ever been created,
Well,
like Robot Rock, for instance.
Right. Well, and it's conflicting because once you start accepting that modification is an acceptable form of creativity, you then have to just start defining what is an acceptable amount of modification. You know, at what point have you altered the work enough for it to be considered your work now? And as someone who makes music, on the one hand, I'm like, it would be great for me to be able to just grab a sample from whatever song that I listen to and really like and reinvent it in some way. And then on the other hand, I'm like, if someone did that with my song and did a bad job of it, or basically just aped my song, I would not be okay with that. So it's interesting because you sort of have to trust people's creative instincts, and I trust my own creative instincts, but I don't trust other people's, and you can't make laws based on that.
Yeah, maybe there should be like some sort of licensing system or something, like where somebody gets like a license to be able to repurpose music, and if they do a bad job a few times, it's like, all right, no more music for you.
It's a 3-strike system.
Yeah, totally. If you sample something terribly 3 times, you're out.
Yeah.
Your DAW just won't allow you to drag audio files in anymore. Just locks you out of that.
Yeah. You get the Ableton. It's like a breathalyzer.
Yeah, you have to like blow into a thing. Or if you're too drunk, it won't let you drag audio in anymore.
Perfect. We're inventing some good tech on this. Get Elon Musk on the phone.
Yeah, if anyone's listening who's a programmer.
There is Elon Musk.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're Elon Musk and you're listening to this right now, boy, do we have the idea for you.
Yeah, dude. Get involved.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like, I mean, here's the thing. I thought about this the other day. I was like, I have sampled so much fucking music in my music before, like especially when I went through that big vocal chopping phase.
I remember this.
I've literally sampled thousands of artists at this point. There's got to be a point where like AI on YouTube and just AI and machine learning gets so good that it's able to pick up on these like minute edits that have been repitched a bunch and really buried within an arrangement, right? To the point where it's just like, it's so in there that right now computers can't pick it up. But at some point, the FFT and stuff will get good enough that they probably will be able to.
Right.
And
well,
then,
I mean, there's like there's Melodyne, which can separate instruments from each other, and then the new version of Ozone claims to be able to let you mix different elements, like your drums and your bass and stuff, differently. So it's not too far of a stretch with that.
So it's like, at what point do they implement that into like the ID system, and then bam, my entire catalog gets pulled?
That would be.
And then when you think about it, how much of music would just get pulled off the internet at that point?
That's a good question, because I think that, I mean, and stuff that we don't even know, right? Like, I think a lot of producers probably have sample packs with stuff that's totally just been aped from something else. Even stuff that they maybe bought legally, maybe they don't know that this kick actually has a layer in it that's from this fucking disco song, and they have no idea. And so...
Well, actually, speaking about that, I was hanging out at Joel's house, Deadmau5, the other day, and he said that the Lights song that he just put out, do you know that one? The one, it's called Drama Free.
I haven't heard it yet.
It's really cool. The snare in it is a snare that he got off a sample CD that he bought, and he got hit up by some company being like, "That's our snare. Like, that's not a thing that you can use." Off a CD, like a sample CD he purchased, and he ended up having to settle for like $90,000 or something.
I mean, that's the thing, is like, as I think that sampling law, I mean, I do think there should be a length below which samples are okay. I really do think so. That the reason I think that's such a pervasive myth is because it seems like the sort of thing that should be true. Like if you grab a snare from a Michael Jackson song, it's not like you have taken credit for Thriller, you know?
Right, and also it's not like that snare probably made your song.
Right.
Either. It's kind of like, I think there should be some like conversation that happens because that's the thing with the way that I sample, I quite often think about this, and pretty much this is my rule of thumb. It's if I remove the sample and the song sucks, then I shouldn't. Then the sample wins, you know.
Right.
But if I remove the sample and the song is still the song and it's still fine without it, and the sample is really just a little bit of a decorator, then I think the song wins.
Right.
That's the way that I kind of look at it.
No, and that makes sense.
But then that's got to be super subjective, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you take that into court, there's probably going to be 50% of people.
Well, there is some stuff that's like that. I'm trying to remember what it is, but there are certain laws where it really is kind of like a you know it when you hear it thing. It doesn't tend to be a very effective way of doing things, and it's subject to people's biases and what is considered socially acceptable and what are socially acceptable forms of music, and then it invariably, like anything, becomes racist, and then you have to can the whole thing and start over. But it's like, I do think that, I mean, I honestly think, especially with a lot of the stuff that you've done where it is really just little chops of audio, I just can't imagine anyone claiming that 2 seconds of let's say it's a Beyonce song, like anyone saying that 2 seconds is really, I mean, who's it hurting? Who's losing money over that?
Yeah, well, definitely not Beyonce. And I definitely don't think so I have sampled Beyonce in some songs before. Mm-hmm. And the amount of money that I've made off those songs has been negligible as fuck. Mm-hmm. And I definitely don't think somebody is coming to me to fulfill their Beyonce fantasies, I think, if you're sampling something and then it were the case that, people were like, oh, well, I can just get that thing over here now that it's in that song and then stop listening to the other song or something, which is an insane fucking idea.
What's interesting, what I just learned about, and this is sort of tangentially related, but how in music videos, and this doesn't happen in electronic music as much, but I'm sure you've watched music videos for other metal bands or pop or rock artists where in the middle of the song, they'll sort of cut away to a skit or something like that. So the reason they do that, I found out that it's such a common trope, is that the music companies want to interrupt the flow of audio so people can't just rip it from YouTube.
True. Yeah. Okay. I see that. There was for a while, people were doing that on SoundCloud where they were turning the thing down halfway through the song or putting white noise spits over the top, or having a little bit vocal thing over the top, hey, this is blah, blah, blah. And you're listening to my song on SoundCloud, just so you couldn't rip it and play it.
It's just, I get it on some level. I think that's probably died off mostly because SoundCloud has the resolution of a, calculator, but it's, it's
calculators can have pretty fine resolution, man.
Hey, well, I'm prejudiced against calculators.
Do you actually use a calculator or do you just use your phone?
I use my phone.
So really SoundCloud has the resolution of your phone.
Whoa. That's deep.
Very deep.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, it's I just found it interesting that it's this thing that's been repackaged and sold to people under the guise of it being part of the music video's narrative. People think it's a story thing, when really, I was just watching the music video for River by Leon Bridges, which is a song I really, really like. And it starts with this probably 30 seconds of just people walking into a hotel room. So first and foremost, if you're ripping the song off YouTube, you have to skip 30 seconds in. But maybe you're crafty and you figure out how to chop off that. So it starts off the song with him on the camera mic playing the guitar of the intro to the song, and then it crossfades from that into the actual mix of the song. So already it's like, okay, that sounds different.
So it's like if you ripped it off YouTube, it's very clear.
Yep, it's very clear, and the audio quality is deliberately worse. And then, even with all that being the case, halfway through the song, it stops to do some sort of little skit thing and then goes back into it, which is like, the purpose of that is to make it so that you can't rip it and then listen to it later. But the net effect for me is that I can't watch the music video either, because there's so much of this all of this like either diegetic audio or just stuff that's literally put in there to make it harder to listen to.
Do you think it's purposely so people don't rip it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no reason it would be so pervasive otherwise.
Who is this that did this?
Leon Bridges has done it. But basically any music video, like any Ariana Grande music video, anybody in the pop scene, basically almost any music video they have will do this in some capacity.
And you know that it's for this reason?
I don't know that I know that it's for that reason, but
Maybe
it
it's
does
just
seem
to make it more theatrical or something like that.
I just don't think so. It seems to me to be obviously a capitalist thing. But I may be wrong about that. But I'm pretty sure that's why.
Yeah. I mean, it might be. I've always I know what you're talking about, and I've always just thought that was like to make the music video more like cinematic or something. I never really have thought about that. It's like a reason. Like it's not so you can like rip it. I think it's so the music video like stands on its own as like a piece of cinema and music video, rather than just listening to the CD version. Or
I think that's like a very convenient way to sell that notion. But I think that the only reason it would be so pervasive, I mean, it might just be, you might be right, and it's just a trope that people have latched onto because it's a thing that you do now. Like people just like, oh, it's a music video, so we should have a cutaway in the middle to someone sitting and looking at a lake and throwing rocks and looking really sad and contemplative. But I think it's more likely that there's a sort of monetary incentive there.
Yeah, it's quite possible. Fuck. All right. Well, I'm getting pretty fucking tired.
Yo, same. It's way past my bedtime.
Yeah, and that was pretty long. It was an hour and a half.
Hey, perfect.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Hey, dude, it's been fun.
We should hang out more.
We got to work on the James Dean stuff so that we can start getting that to the people.
Yeah, totally. People can just find you at Alden Groves everywhere.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a unique enough name that I pretty much was able to snag it on almost everything except Facebook, weirdly, because there's another Alden Groves who is totally just like camped that.
And you also have a Facebook group called Alden's Grove, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
And just because my first name is harder to spell than I would think it would be. It's Alden, last name Groves. And
what's your social security number?
6.
Nice. And what's the last 3 numbers on the back of your credit card?
Also 6, weirdly, but just one of them.
All right, man. Fuck yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Hey, dude, it's been a blast. Appreciate you having me.
All right, cheers.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Mr. Bill Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the